All right, all right. Hello, hello. It is 12 o'clock. It is Thursday. We are in Madrid, and that means that it's IPPM. It's the second session of this week, purely focusing on IPPM. The last time we met, we had a joint session with the benchmarking working group. So, welcome everybody. Do you have control of the slides? Oh, I can't do that. So, this is an IETF meeting. It's Thursday. You should probably be quite familiar with this slide. But please note the note well. Everything you contribute with here, everything you say is an IETF contribution. You should be familiarized with all the IP regulations, all the policies that apply here. Also note really well that there is a code of conduct. Please be respectful. Treat each other with respect and kindness. If you have issues, there are ombuds teams and so on, harassment teams that you can contact, but please engage respectfully. Right, if you're in the room, please make sure to use your favorite device to join the session. It's really important that we get statistics on how many people are in this session, because that helps with planning for future meetings, such as the size of rooms and so on. Please use the tool to join the queue. That helps us have a common queue management for both on-site and remote participants. If you're remote, please make sure that your audio and video are off, unless you're presenting or chairing or making comments. Please also try to use a headset that provides a better audio experience for everyone. And before we move beyond this slide, we are going to need to have a note taker. The notes there's a link to the notes in the chat already. Thomas has kindly prepared the notes, so it's very easy to follow the structure of the meeting. And yeah, you don't have to capture every word that is being said in a discussion. It's mostly important that you capture the key points and outcomes of discussions, if there are any action points and so on. So do we have any volunteers? We have a tight agenda today, so it would be good to, Ike, thanks a lot. That's really kind of you, and if anybody wants to go in as a backup as well, that would be greatly appreciated, but thank you, Ike. Then we move forward. So yeah, today we have, as usual, a pretty packed agenda. Most of the agenda today will be focusing on non-adopted work, but we have two presentations that we will go on first. One is a short update on quality of outcome that has already gone through a round of working group last call reviews, and there has been an updated document. So Björn will present those updates. Then we will spend a little bit longer time on the encrypted PDM v2, which is in a little bit of a special state. It went through working group last call, and there was a lot of IETF review, ISG reviews with a lot of discusses, so it was determined to bring it back to the working group to keep working on this one. So Nalini will present the updates and also present the companion draft to that one. And after that, we will move forward to discuss a number of proposed works. So we have a joint proposal on ECN extension for stamp. It's a merger of two earlier proposals. There's a Yang model for IOM integrity, and then there will be a slightly different presentation that we typically of a style that we typically don't have at IPPM, but could be very interesting, and it's more focusing on deployment of IPPM related technology. So I think that will be a very, very interesting one. And finally, we will go into our lightning talks. There is a large number of lightning talks here. It is not clear that we will be able to run through all of them. We hope to do. But this is also a time for us to please urge everybody who wants to bring new work to the IPPM working group. It is really good that you first engage with the mailing list and try to solicit feedback and discussions in the mailing list, because that's also something that helps us prioritize your work in the meetings. We always want the meetings to be useful, so work that has seen discussion is something that will be prioritized for meeting agenda. That also goes for adoption calls. We have quite a lot of requests for adoption into this working group, and we always want to urge people to first engage with the list before. That helps us very much prioritize and assess the importance of your or the interest in your work. And with that said, let's hand over to the next presentation, which will be Björn, who will do an update on quality of outcome.
Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Björn. I need this. Okay.
And you have it there.
Is it doing anything?
You have to stop sharing. Is it? Now you can share. And then we can have
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, so quick update on the quality outcome work. This is my only slide. So first of all, thank you to everyone who has commented on the mailing lists on the working group last call. I think the document is now much improved because of all of those comments. So thank you very much. The main changes are restructured some sections and added some new sections. So mainly security considerations, terminology, and an overview that sort of gives a high-level introduction to the idea and the concept at the beginning of the document, so that you don't have to read everything to understand what it's about. And we fixed many typos and standardized terminology so that the same word refers to the same thing, and the same thing is always referred to by the same word. And then we've added a bunch of additional references. And then there are also more changes than this. But I wanted to keep it high level. And with that, are there any comments or questions? I wanted to keep this short in case there would be some discussion here. Otherwise, we will have some time back to the agenda.
Anyone wants to make any comments? If not, I'll just say thank you very much for doing these updates, and thank you everyone who provided reviews. I think it was both excellent reviews and really good and timely updates from you. We'll keep the call open a little bit after this meeting for people to have a chance to review the new version. But if we don't hear anything more, I think it will be ready for progressing. So thanks a lot for that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. So as the chair said, we had some issues. So part of the problem is that in some ways PDM is too good. So we had an implementation, and what they were, you can see the article there. And so they did an implementation, and the title is Diagnosing IPv6 in Nanoseconds. I mean, great. But the other problem is if you're, it's in plain text, and so it's a real problem for the user too. I mean, you know, the other side is the hacker or the bad person is also seeing things in a very, very granular detail. So timing attacks, a lot of this kind of business is is possible. So what we, and this is kind of where we got stuck, is because we wanted to encrypt this. Of course, easier said than done as far as encryption, because what the problem really is that when we're doing encryption today, it's not at the IP layer. It's at the a layer beyond that. And if you can't just reuse the TLS keys or anything like that, because you need the IP connection first. And we're trying to do encryption at the time of the IP connection. So it gets into a real bootstrapping problem. But what we decide to do is we put out some principles which will outline what it is that we need, so we can see if there's something out there that meets our needs, because we cannot be the first ones. We are not the first ones to have such a problem. So let's just talk about what the problems are. So right now, what we want to do, base thing, is we got all this great data about like what the server time is, what the end user time is, this and that. We don't want to make that available for Mr. Hacker. And so the idea is we're not going to do real-time decryption of the data. Okay, now, I mean, let me caveat that a bit. If you want to do real-time decryption, you have to be a different kind of entity. Right now we have a client entity, we have a server entity. You will have to make yourself be a server and decryptor entity. But all these entities have to register themselves as being one such person. Okay, there's a lot more to that. The other thing is you don't want to overlay, it's like you're trying to establish the IP connection and, get everything going, for heaven's sakes. So we don't want to add a lot of processing onto the handshake. So ideally, all this stuff is offloaded. It's kind of like if you think about like if you're using WhatsApp or something like that, before you start using a messaging app or email, whatever, you have to pre-register. That's the idea. You pre-register, and so then when time comes to do something like blammo, you're already there. And so that's where a lot of the work that we've been doing now is the whole registration. What does it mean to register? Because again, easier said than done. What does it mean? Let's say to take the case, if you're like a large enterprise, say you're a big bank like Chase, sure, you register everybody inside, that's all fine and good. But say you also want to talk to your stockbroking arm or an affiliate. So do you need federated registration? Take another case, say you're Google, you're on the wider internet. You have to be careful about what does it mean then? Does the Chrome browser have to register with every website on earth? How is this going to work? And so that's when I'll show you some of the things we got into later on. But so there's a couple of concepts here. That's why the whole registration draft. Okay, I blabbered about the IP layer as well. Let's go on. So we want to separate the encryption layers. Like I said, right now there is encryption that's done with IPsec, but to be honest with you, I find IPsec extremely heavyweight in terms of registration. Personal opinion, I really don't think it's suitable for what we want to do. But we can discuss that with, more people too. I think it's way more heavyweight than what we need. And we don't want to do it. We're not at the TLS and quick layers. We've got to get all done before all that. We don't want to reuse the keys between sessions. That's a kind of a basic security principle. And then I think I said already stuff about the base key registration. All right. We also need to pass some things in the clear. certain times in order to do all this security business, I mean, this draft is kind of at the intersection of two things. You guys can comment mostly on the performance and all those metrics, but all the security stuff is really, all that expertise is in a different group. But some of this stuff is, how you get what you need a nonce basically for the key derivation, and it has to be passed in the clear, so on and so forth. So all that stuff, I'm going to skip past a little bit because I don't think the right people are in the room. But these are some of the things needed, for the security part. Like I said, we have to pre-register because you don't want to block up everything, before the session starts. What the idea is PDM is going to measure the end user response time. And, you want to make that all as fast as you can. All right. So what we're tentatively thinking is, what are our needs? So we have a client, we have a server, we have the decryptor or analyzer, and what probably after the fact, but it could be if you want to play that role in real time, you have to register as a separate entity. Tentatively, what we're thinking is that in order to save some complexity, we have something like an authentication server. Again, we got some of this stuff, from MLS and kind of how they do things, or messaging apps. You have like one entity that you all register with. That may or may not be the right way to do it. Okay, but I'll just tell you what we need. And so initially, the way we register is to do it. We do a TLS and encrypt that. This is not right at the time when we're doing the session. This is well ahead of time. And go ahead and register everything up, pass the certificate, and so on. But how do you get the certificate? These are some of the things that we need, because the register who you are in terms of the organization, in case you want to federate, register yourself as a client, server, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of stuff in the registration draft about all this. So then we thought, like, okay, this is not, we cannot be the first people to have this problem. And we're not. It's just, whether something that someone's already done can meet our needs. So the first thing we started looking at is EduRoam. It's a global Wi-Fi roaming service that a lot of educational institutions use. You guys may be doing something like that also. And so we started looking at Radius and going through those drafts and see what that's doing. A little blah, blah about what Radius is, if you guys don't know. And so essentially, they've got a server that you register with. And we looked over some of the commands that they have. Some of them are exactly what we need. Some of them are not, because, of course, it turns out to be, even when you do something like register client, and when you're registering a device, it turns out to be a surprisingly complex problem for what exactly you're registering. Is it the privacy address that you just registered? Really? Is it the prefix? What? As I say, we're just registering a device, and what is its identity? It turns out to be a surprisingly difficult problem. And a number of other people are working in that space. Here's some similar uses of Radius, but I believe people really want to use diameter now because I think it's considered more secure. So I'm just kind of running through the thinking we went through. If anybody wants to discuss any of this with us, really happy, and I'm going to leave some time for discussion. So that's why I'm kind of going through it kind of, at rapid pace. We're also looking at Spiffy and the new WebBot authorization draft, because if we can do something like get on-the-fly certificates or per session certificates, like what Spiffy is doing and what the WebBot auth is possibly likely to be going. So we want to watch that direction. And that's why we're kind of, what we want to do is we're just putting out, what is it that we need? And these are the things we need in order to do this securely. And so we put that out because the reason it got turned back from last call is that the security ADs, this is the whole area that all the questions were about. How do you get the keys to the right people? How do you, what is this whole thing? And because we were thinking we would just let the whole registration, it's like you do what you want. But I don't think we can really do what you want. I think we need to specify it. Thoughts, comments? If you want to contribute, love to have you. We've got podcasts. What the heck, right? There's AI, you can do a podcast. Lots of stuff available if you want to learn more. Any thoughts other than why are you doing this? No. Yeah.
Do we have any comments from the room right now?
It really, I'm going to tell you something. It works. That's why we're doing it. It works. It works at nanosecond precision. That, again, as I say, that's the problem.
So I have a question. So with this new registration approach that you're researching, is the idea that you would mandate this particular approach that you're going to find as a prerequisite for using the PDMV2 protocol, or would it be serving as one example of how you can set things up? Because I think it's probably something that differs a lot between if you're doing this within a specific organization, if you're doing the cross-organizational bounds and so on. So that might be something to, yeah, I'm just curious as an individual.
No, totally. That's exactly the question we've been looking at too, because like we said before, like inside an organization, Chase will have different requirements than Google. And so what I'm tentatively thinking is first, let's see what it is we need. How do we best generate the secret? And then we might say, okay, if you're this kind of an organization, maybe this approach is good for you. If you're another kind of organization, maybe this approach. But I unless the security ADs or somebody says you have to mandate, I would prefer to give some examples of good ways that the key, because in the end, what you need is a key that can be shared securely or a master secret. In the end, that's what you need. And so, if we give some concrete examples of ways that one could do this, I hope that will be sufficient.
Yeah, that sounds good. And on a process question, it's more like, would you see that the main specification would have a normative dependency on this registration draft? And would you also think that taking on something like is this group, IPPM, the right place to do that as well? I think this is something we would need to discuss with our AD and see what would be the most appropriate venue to take on this work and make sure that it progresses in a constructive way. Yeah.
No, totally. Because what we were thinking is like, once we figure out exactly what we need, what we wanted to actually do, being a developer, what I want is like put up a couple of proofs of concepts, stick up a radius server, diameter of server, something like that. See if there's commands that we need that it doesn't do. And then it might go into a diameter extension, something like that. And similarly with, Spiffy, just put it up, see if it works. But I do not want to develop another registration protocol.
That sounds good. Any other comments from the room, from anyone?
Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah, please everyone try to engage with this document. It's been a long-standing topic here in IPPM, and we would like to be able to progress it. But let's move forward. Next up is Greg.
Thank you. All right, so give a presentation on a proposal for a stamp extension to enable ECN traversal measurement. I'm Greg White. I'm presenting on behalf of my co-authors, Greg Mursky and Zhao Min. So the purpose of this stamp extension is to enable bidirectional measurements of ECN traversal on the internet. That's useful for two reasons, or at least two reasons. One is to detect manipulation of the ECN field in each direction along the path. That could be because of congestion marking along the path. It could also be because of bleaching or other pathological cases where the field is being manipulated incorrectly. And then additionally, it allows the differential measurement of latency across the path, depending on what value of ECN is existing in the packet. There is an existing TLV that was defined as a stamp extension called the class of service TLV that did enable bidirectional DSCP measurement, but unfortunately didn't allow bidirectional ECN measurements. So hence the need for an update. A little bit of a recap. So at the last IETF, I presented a proposal for a new TLV that would serve the purpose. I presented both here at IPPM and also at the Transport Working Group. There was quite a bit of engagement and interest in that. And then after the IETF meeting, in the interim, there was quite a bit of discussion on the mailing list, several comments in favor of defining this TLV. And then Greg Mirsky came along with an alternative method to achieve the same goal. And that was, rather than defining a new TLV, he came up with a way to update the existing class of service TLV in a way that was backward compatible and allowed the new feature. There was some discussion on that, and then Xiaomin identified that there was an ambiguity that arose with that syntax and proposed a change to the syntax to avoid that. So Greg Mirsky and I decided to put these thoughts together and merge our two drafts into a single one, invited Xiaomin to join as a co-author as well. So that brings us up to date. In terms of the details of the proposal, so this is the existing class of service TLV. Has basically 4 fields: DSCP1, DSCP2, ECN, and RP. And DSCP1 and 2 allow the measurement of the manipulation of the DSCP field in each direction. ECN only allowed the session reflector to report back the ECN value that it received on its inbound packet, but doesn't provide a way for the session sender to instruct the session reflector what ECN value it would like to have in the IP header of the return packet. So the proposed update is to add 2 new fields in the reserved bytes in the TLV. Also, as part of this, we're renaming the 2 of the existing fields, ECN and RP, become EC2 and RPD. RPD meaning return path DSCP. And I have a slide coming up that has a little bit more detail on that. The 2 new fields, EC1 mirrors DSCP1. It's the instruction from the session sender to the session reflector: please use this ECN value on your return packet. And then the RPE field is the way for the session reflector to say, I did in fact use that value in my return packet. So these 2 fields, RPD, return path DSCP, and RPE, return path ECN, session sender sets both those to 0s on its packet. The session reflector then reflects back whether it in fact used the DSCP1 value in its DSCP field of its IP header, and the RPE for the ECN field. If you look at the detailed bullets there, you'll notice that the values are opposite of one another. And unfortunately, that is by necessity in order to have backward compatibility. It would be nice if it was the same syntax for both, but unfortunately, we lose backward compatibility if we were to define it differently. So, and actually, that specific fact that there is a discrepancy there in the protocol, probably something we should mention in the draft and call it out. It's not called out currently in the current version, but that's something I plan to add into the next revision. The next couple of slides go into the backward compatibility, 2 cases, old and new, session sender, session reflector. I don't think I'll go into those in detail, but the draft walks through these 2 cases, and the slides are here to help you understand that if you're interested. Implementation status. There currently is already one public implementation of this definition. Link is there. I don't know of any other public implementations. Cable Labs has an implementation that we're working on. Intend to publish that relatively soon. The hope is that we can organize an interop event at IETF 124 in Montreal, most likely during the hackathon. So if you're interested, if you maintain a stamp implementation, would like to participate in that, please reach out to me. Last slide. There was quite a bit of interest both in the IPPM working group last time, as well as in TSV working group. I think, and maybe it's something I should have mentioned at the outset, the reason why ECN traversal is interesting now is that with the development and deployment of L4S technology on the internet, the ECN field has gotten to be a lot more important, and ensuring traversal of the ECN field across the internet is very important. And so having the ability in a standardized way to do these measurements is therefore important. So we had some good discussion both on the list and at the last meeting. With this combined proposal, I'd like to ask if the working group is interested in adopting. So that's that. So take questions or comments. Looks like we have Rakesh in the queue.
Rakesh from Cisco Systems. So it's a comment. There is another draft that reflects the entire IP header with source destination, DHCP, which includes the ECN and everything. Okay. So if you can add some considerations, because it will do at least half the job to reflect the DHCP and ECN, but it doesn't have the intended one to be set to in the reverse direction. Okay. So just need some text to say how things would work together. Thanks.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, Bjorn, Kudrow AI. I support this draft. I think I've read the previous versions and the new one, and I think it's much more clear what the intentions are and what the different fields mean and stuff like that in the new version. So that's really good. And I just want to also call out the very good work that Will Hawkins has done to implement this stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bjorn.
Yeah, I just also want to echo that. It's really, really appreciated that we start seeing more and more open source implementations of the work that's going on and the work related to this group. I'm also very happy to see that you're planning an interop event. I think that is something that greatly benefits the work here. We have this one on our backlog for adoption calls, and like I said earlier, to get up on that priority list of this backlog, having discussions in the mailing list and so on is a really good way. So yeah, we will revisit that, but definitely it is in our backlog in queue for potential adoptions.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And we have Justin.
Thank you. Hi. So this is just an update on an easy draft that was presented in Bangkok. So presenting on behalf of my co-author Tianran. So what we do here is that based on the main draft, which is defining new option types for IOM integrity protection, we just wanted, for completion reasons, to have new profiles in the Yang model So what we do is that we extend, the RFC 9617, I think, model, and we create 4 new profiles based on the profile definition in that model. So basically, they look very similar. The only thing that you see here is that there is a new field for each, which is called integrity method. And this is specifically set for the encapsulating node. And so there was a question from Alex in Bangkok. Why do you create new profiles for that? Why don't you just, add a Boolean, for instance, to existing profiles? Well, the reason is that those new profiles are, representing new option types. So they have their own code types, code points, sorry. So we needed new profiles, actually. And obviously DEX is not represented here because the main draft that it's based on defines DEX as out of scopes for many reasons that you can read on. And yeah, as asked in Bangkok, we would like to request a working group adoption for this one. We think it would make sense, to ship it maybe at the same time, or quite so, as the main draft. The main draft is about to get updated. It still needs to solve 2 big points. And then I think it's about to go to a second working group last call. So yeah, just wanted to request a working group adoption for this one. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Any comments from the floor? Right. Yeah, no, thanks a lot for doing this work. I think this is an important companion to the main specification, and yeah, it definitely makes sense to progress this one jointly. So it's also on our backlog, and we will revisit that after
Sure.
after this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a presentation on the usage of IOAM in a particular deployment, and we have Ingrid. Would you like us to give you slide control, or would you want us to drive the slides?
Happy for you to drive the slides, thanks.
Okay, then please start.
Thanks, and please let me know if there's audio issues. So hi, my name's Ingrid Barton. I'm part of the NBN, the National Broadband Network Company in Australia. I wanted to run you through the use case that we have for the purpose of getting feedback on interest in addressing it. So a bit of context, NBN is a government business that provides layer 2 wholesale access services for all Australian premises. We offer 121 points of interconnect for the internet service providers, and each point of interconnect only gives them access to households in a specific area. So we just provide that last mile connectivity as a layer 2 pipe from the point of interconnect through to an Ethernet interface in the household. So just that yellow section in the diagram. NBN uses a mix of underlying technologies depending on which area, but from the end user and the internet service provider perspective, it's just a layer 2 pipe with no interaction from NBN at a layer 3 or above level. So obviously, NBN is just one part of the service chain. So there's a collection of networks that actually provides the end user broadband experience. So with that context, that brings me to the challenge that we have as a layer 2 wholesale provider. So if we move to the next slide. Because we've only got that one small segment that operates at that layer 2 Ethernet pipe, there's a lack of visibility into the end-to-end performance for the broadband service. NBN has no visibility of what's happening in the networks either side or further up or down the chain. So when there's a performance issue, it can be really challenging for us to pin down where it's occurring and make sure that it gets addressed in a timely and efficient way. There's obviously a few different approaches to addressing that challenge, and we've been lucky enough to be able to partner with the University of Technology in Sydney to focus on a couple, and we're wondering if there might be a way to address this using information that's passed in band to help pick up which network segment is contributing to performance issues. So through the exploration work that's been done, we've learnt about work that's being done in this area, but found that it's not really been developed to deal with the layer 2 access segment, and we haven't been able to see an existing approach for passing in-band information from a layer 3 network down to a layer 2 network and then back up to a layer 3 network, allowing the layer 2 network to actively participate in and use the information. So if we go to the next slide, I won't go through this line by line, but basically we're really interested to learn that the type of approach of looking at in-band information has been developed in the past. There is existing work that looks really promising. And the question that came up for us now is there value for more than just NBN in reviewing the work that's been done previously, seeing if there's an opportunity for reopening the existing work to get that end-to-end aspect going, but including the capability of including the layer 2 wholesale network providers. So on to the last slide. So in summary, it looks like there has already been a whole heap of work done that heads in the direction that we're interested in, of getting that performance visibility across the chain of networks, including the layer 2 access segment. And we'd like to bring people's attention back to look at that layer 2 segment and get some guidance on interest from others to see if we could pick up on the work that's already been done, reopen it and build on it to lead to a standardized approach for end-to-end telemetry.
Yeah, we have questions. Thank you.
Justin Newman. So first of all, thanks Ingrid for presenting this use case here in IPPM. I may be biased, by what I'm about to say, but maybe it's time, to resurrect again this draft because a good signal is that it comes back and forth, in the working group. So maybe it's going to be a good idea to resurrect it and start working on it again. It could be that we could start from scratch with another one. So that could be another possibility. But I think there is room for work here. So, yeah.
Tal?
Yeah, so thanks for presenting this draft. Very interesting. I agree with what Justin said, but generally speaking, I think that beyond just defining an ether type, this would probably need more detailed architecture of kind of a uniform approach where the IOM information can be transported over multiple different network layer or link layer technologies. And that sounds like a little bit of a more, a wider scope kind of work. And it would certainly be interesting to talk about that.
Yeah, Thomas, as a contributor, first of all, I think that's definitely speaking for a network operator. This is a problem statement I resonate with. We need layer 2 visibility on, especially on top. Reviewing the document, I see from an applicability point of view, it's also applicable to so Ethernet over IPv6 or SRv6. So definitely that would be interesting. Thanks.
Hello?
We hear you.
Okay, thank you. So first thing is, yeah, I want to go and echo what Justin said. happy that we see this work coming here, and then we also see the relevancy in a context that we've not seen IOM being deployed so far. The second point is I'm more than happy to go and resurrect the draft, what Justin said. We can absolutely do that. I'm in favor of using the history that we've had so far, because the draft that Brian wrote, which is referred to here, is already a conclusion of multiple earlier efforts to look into what would we do from an ANCAP perspective for GRE, what would we do from an ANCAP perspective for Genève. So there is already a little bit of history and conclusion in here that we can go and leverage from this draft. And before we go into other encapsulations and potentially even start to mimic things that we have with Ethernet CFM at multiple layers, let's get this work started, and then we would go and see what other things we would need to go and do complementary to, well, a more holistic approach to pure layer 2 monitoring environments that would benefit from IOM.
Greg Mirsky, Ericsson. Well, a couple of things. In the meantime, I noticed, and we noticed, that there is another proposal technology with a more limited informative footprint and constrained amount of space being used, so the path tracing being proposed. And I hope that we'll get some more discussion about it. The question here would be is that, and it's fortunate that we have not been have not heard from chip vendors whether they have whether they are supporting or they will be supporting. I do have some information that indicates that some one vendor supports this technology, not IAM, but analogous technology for published by P4 for the Ethernet when they append information to their Ethernet frame. So, and another aspect that we need to really look at, whether working on any extension to the Ethernet is appropriate for IETF, and should it have been done in IEEE.
Thank you for all the comments, and thank you for your presentation. There's definitely seems to be quite a lot of interest here, so I would urge the people who express interest and the authors to get together and discuss this further. There is a point raised here by Greg that I think we can revisit at some point later, but we will have to see if a pure layer 2 work would fit the charter of IPPM, because as it stands right now, it might not, but this is something we can discuss with our AD and with the group if we think that this is an important venue to explore. Now we are moving forward to more of the lightning talk section of this session, and with that, a lightning talk is supposed to be pretty much one slide, pitch your work in as short of time as possible so that we can get through all of these presentations in 10 minutes. If you want more discussions on your work, please engage with the mailing list. So please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rakesh Gandhi from Cisco Systems. I'm presenting this stamp extensions for BER measurement on working on this project with Peter from Meta. So idea is very simple. Stamp is used today for latency and loss measurement, and we are now extending it for BER measurement. we detect the BER in the extra padding TLV using a known bit pattern. So reflector will match the pattern with the data in the extra padding TLV and count the number of bits and send it back to the sender. It will also clear the data, restore it, fix the error so that you can do measurement in the reverse direction as well. So basically define a couple of stamp TLVs and also using a conformer flag from the asymmetric draft for the consistency check. So thank you, Will, for your great work for the Tea Party open source implementation of this draft. And many thanks, William, Rudiger, Greg, Zhenqiang for providing review comments on the mailing list. And welcome your further review comments and suggestions. And we are requesting working group adoption for this draft. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Otherwise, let's move forward with the next one. Is it Xiaomin? Why is this from mine? Can you try? Can you try again? I think we found a bug.
Hello, everyone. It's Xiaomin speaking. This presentation is on extensions to IAM trace option for carrying fixed size data. There were some key points of this draft. This draft extends IAM trace option to carry a fixed size data. On the left side, it's the format of the IAM trace option defined in RFC 9197. And there were 4 flags in this format. 3 of them have already been used by current published documents. Overflow flag, loopback flag, active flag. And this draft used the 4th flag, correlative F flag. The new flag is defined to indicate that there's a new format of the IAM trace option. You can see the format of the new IAM trace option. IAM fixed data trace type is a bitmap. And when 1 bit of this bitmap is set, there's a fixed size aggregate data carried in this option. This is the format of the fixed size aggregate data currently defined in this draft. To make it flexible, currently this draft can be used to indicate different format when a different bit is set. But for hardware-friendly, this kind of design may be removed because hardware may want to a fixed format. So that's to be discussed. Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have a quick question from Justin.
Yeah, sure. Justin. So yeah, I'm not sure we should, modify the trace option for that. Maybe you should go, just with a new option type would be maybe cleaner or easier.
The idea is to reuse the current.
I got that. So maybe, I don't know if you could make it, but Tal is gonna present a new draft, which is called a template option type. So you could just feed multiple option types inside. So maybe that could be a use case here.
Yeah, but we need to discuss whether that's too flexible. That's not hardware friendly. Yeah, we need to discuss. Thank you.
Sounds like a useful discussion you can have offline or on the mailing list.
Hello, everyone. Can hear me? Can you hear me?
We hear you, and you now have slide controls as well.
Oh, yes. Yes. I'm Rajami from Telecom. Next slide, please.
You have control of the slides now, so you can click.
Control. Please, next slide, please.
Okay, I'll take that control.
Next slide, please.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. Motivation and objectives. Both the IM and the alternate method pass hybrid measurement methods, and it necessary to unify the packet in capsulation format to reduce the complexity of the forwarding chip. And the IM DX options of C likely to 6 also called post modes has faced some problem in performance measurements such as packet loss, including more precise overhead and bandwidth in accurate measurement results and inconsistent measurement methodologies. This drive the intent to augment IOM's capabilities in performance measurements aspects by incorporating the alternate mark method. The solutions by extending DX options define the most significant 2 bits of the receive bits, D and L bit, and the measurement period number field. Employ setting 2 bits of flow ID, which may be divided into subfields, load ID and the flow mount ID, so it can be deployed in distributed way in case of a centralized controller unavailable. It can support the 3 OM operation models, only OM trace monitoring, only performance and hybrid benefits, and augment IMDX options capability in performance measurement, augment the automated market method by extending setting 2-bit flow ID, C and MPN field. Only unique packet head in capture format is required for both IM-trace monitoring and performance measurement, and thus simplify the complexity of forwarding chips like IPPM integrating layer 2, layer 3, MPLS. Next.
So, Chairman, we are already at time for this lightning talk. Would you like to wrap up this particular proposal?
Okay.
In like 1 or 2 sentences, and then take the rest of the description to the list so people can review it and discuss it there. Because we have 2 minutes left of the session, and we still have some lightning talks to go through. So.
Okay. This table shows the collision probability of flow ID when deploying distributed waves. We use 20-bit flow ID and generating 10,000 controller flows CP will drastically raise it to approximately 100%. When extending 22-bit flow ID CMP field for alternate market methods, compared to 22-bit flow ID, CP is significantly reduced in distributed ways. On the other hand, setting 2-bit flow ID can be split to sub-fields and with sufficient space respectively. By employing MPS field.
For cutting off, but I think we need to. I think there's a lot of information packed on this slide, and I think it's great that you brought this attention to the working group. I think we will not be able to follow all this information in this short lightning talk, so I think we have to move on to the next presentation. But please take this work to the mailing list and try to engage with the working group. And I think you're up next as well with your next presentation here, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So please be very, very brief. If you could just summarize, not try to go through the details, but just summarize like a quick elevator pitch what this draft is about, and then tell people to engage with it offline. So we have 1 minute left of the session. So. Yeah.
Oh, okay. This draft is similar to the previous drafters. Motivation and IOM choice options of say like service possible like the ability in performance measurement such as packet loss. I'm under the remark message about past measurement methods and the necessary unified packet in capture framework to reduce the complexity of forwarding chip. This chapter intends to augment IOM's capabilities in performance measurement aspect by incorporating the outlet market method. Extended trace options by defining the most significant 5 bits of reserve field and optional.
Thank you very much. We are at time here for this presentation. We're actually at time for the session. We do have a few more lightning talks. If you are willing to stay on, we will just quickly let you promote your work. Just more or less go up as an elevator pitch. Tell the group that the work is available. And we will have to wrap up here. So just in one sentence, you can explain what this work is about.
Right, so my name is Tal Mizrahi, and what we're presenting here is a new trace option called the IOM template option, and it's intended to be constant length. It doesn't change throughout the path. It's not a function of the number of hops, but it can be updated by intermediate IOM transit nodes. And the idea is that it has different templates, which can be defined in a different document. And it addresses a lot of use cases that were actually mentioned today in other talks. For example, in Xiaomin's presentation, and also a couple of other use cases that can be seen in the draft. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great update. And I see that the room is now filling up for the lunch presentation. So I'm very sorry we didn't have time to go through all the lightning talks. To everyone, please engage with the mailing list. Put your work there. That's the best way to get discussions around your work. And thank you all for attending IPPM.